What up, football fans all over the world? It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan, here with my guy, the super dope co-host, Adam Costas. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for that real deal NFC East round up. Punch that intro. Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. I am Mac the Giants fan here with my guy, the super dope co-host Adam Costas. How you feeling today, Adam?
Great. Can't believe we're heading towards week 3 already. It seems like we get here and then the season just keeps zooming by.
The season flies by. I feel like it absolutely flies by. But yeah, it's week 3 already, man, coming up, man. The first 2 weeks of the NFL have been interesting, to say the least. What is going on in the chat, too? No Mets, no Nets, no Jets, man. My guy always tapping in, man. Appreciate you, my brother. Yeah, the season, I feel like this is how the NFL season is every year. It just seems to fly by. Those few months, man, like it's going to be February before we know it. Watch the Super Bowl, man. Again, it's like this is how it always is.
Can we get the Thanksgiving first before we had the Super Bowl? I mean, my goodness. But the way the season has gone, I feel like it's been so stressful the first 2 weeks. I'm like, damn, it feels like we've already had the season for so long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of revelation stuff through 2 weeks, man. I mean, coming into this year, obviously the Eagles, I would put it everybody put at the top of the mountain. I would say after 2 weeks, though, I'd say Green Bay kind of was taking that spot through the first couple weeks of the season, at least. Eagles, not saying the Eagles haven't been, Eagles are still, they're still up there. They're still a top squad, obviously. But they look like they got a little bit, they come down a little peg, but they're still good. They're still very, very good. I'm not even discrediting them in any way. I'm not saying that. They're still very good. But I would put Green Bay up above them right now, at least for sure in the NFC. I would put Green Bay above them right now, currently through 2 weeks of the season. But that's just my opinion. You don't all have to have the same opinion. They're still the champions until somebody else makes them not the champions. You know what I mean? So we'll talk about them in a little bit, man. But let's get to Washington, man. Washington opened up the week on Thursday night. Went to Green Bay. Went to Green Bay, as a matter of fact. I wasn't even thinking about that. Yeah, that's what they played, as a matter of fact. Went to Green Bay. And Green Bay, man, like I said, has been very, very impressive through 2 weeks of the season. And they were definitely impressive on Thursday night against Washington Commanders, having their way with them for the majority of the game. Don't let that final score fool you. The Green Bay Packers dominated the Washington Commanders on Thursday Night Football. What was your thoughts, Adam?
Well, I agree with you on the domination, and I can see why you're picking them as, at least performance-wise, the best team in football. What does that mean, folks? Yes, the Eagles are still number one, have to be knocked off. They're 2-0. Record-wise is the same. But if you're looking at who played better games over the last 2 weeks, Green Bay with the dismantling of the Lions and now the dismantling of the Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders look like the Giants week 1. They couldn't get out of their way. There was pressure all over Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels looked lost out there. They had disguised the coverages. They really did a good job in fooling Jaden Daniels. Now, I don't know if it's because, he can't be Superman every game, right? Just not going to happen. And so with the defense that they had gotten in Green Bay, and I think that's where they really will become championship level. If their defense can dominate the way it did with Parsons and McKinney and a few others that are back there, Jordan Love doesn't have to do much. Now, granted, he is playing phenomenal. Right now, it's him and Dak Prescott that I believe, well, and you can throw Josh Allen in there as well, who have played the best quarterback the last few weeks in the NFL. Their 2 games consistently. So with that being said, if Jordan Love plays the way he does, and the defense plays the way they do, maybe you're right, Mac. Maybe we'll be talking about them in late January, facing one of these two NFC East teams, possibly the Eagles. Um, right now, as for Washington, I'm concerned across the board. A lot of injuries in this game. Austin Eckler, obviously a non-contact injury. I don't know if it's a blow to their offense. I mean, it's a blow because you don't never want to see a player go down. But I feel like Austin Eckler was very a niche player for them. Like he wasn't really he was past being an every down back, and he was getting phased out anyways with the new kid coming in, and they had McNichols, I think his name is, or something like that, who also they gave burn to. So I'm not. The loss is always bad, but I think the Jaden Daniels thing is more serious, obviously, because you could see what happens when he doesn't have magic. When he doesn't do his Jaden Daniels things and play at the level that we expect him to play at. And I thought he played very well against the Giants. I thought he was a smooth operator of the football. I think he navigated very well. He missed a few throws, obviously, the timing with Terry McLaurin, but I didn't think he played badly at all. As a matter of fact, I thought he had a decent performance against the Giants. And I'm not trying to be biased. This performance, it was not good. And if he doesn't have the magic, that team can't do anything. You saw what happens when they give up a lead. They don't have the horses on defense to stop anybody when it becomes a shootout. And if Jaden Daniels is not playing above the X's and O's and the magic man that he was last year, they're an ordinary team. And they're going to have to figure this out quickly, because if we want to take this team legitimately serious, they've got to beat the next opponent. And we're not moving to that right now, but when we get there, they have to show us by, it's okay to lose to Green Bay, but you can't lose to anybody else that's lower. And the last thing I will say is, it is interesting to me, the trend that is happening. Every game last year that Washington had against a big team, they lost. A big team. The only game they won against a team that was more formidable than them was the Detroit Lions in the playoff game, right? Because they were better than Tampa Bay or whoever they played in round one.
Oh yeah, they were favored in that game. They were expected to beat them.
Right. And then they went to Detroit, right? And absolutely, beat that team and surprised everybody. And then, of course, they lost to the Eagles. But if you go back to the regular season, Mac, what was their issues? Their issues weren't against the low-life teams like the Giants. No. Their issues were against these bigger teams like the Ravens, like, Detroit, like Green Bay, like Minnesota. These teams that can match up well with them. While they were in shootouts and in these games, they never quite, got over the hump. So I'm hoping that trend doesn't continue. But the way it's going right now, it pretty much might be what their Achilles heel is, not being able to beat the elite teams in the NFC.
I mean, it's starting to seem that way, because that's pretty much how it went all last season, and that's pretty much how it's going right now. It seemed to lost Adam for a minute. I'm sure he'll be right back. But let's go back up here to what no Mets, no Nets, no Jets said about the Commanders look bad against the lousy Giants team. I mean, I don't know if I'd go as far as saying they looked bad, but they definitely weren't great against. They honestly, I wouldn't say that was necessarily a great performance either. That was just, they were good enough to obviously beat a bad football team like the New York Giants. But as far as some of the things I'd take away from this game with Jaden Daniels, man, I think one of the things that where things started going wrong with him in this game is because I think he might have started pressing a little too much. I feel like maybe once he saw the way Green Bay was kind of moving and kind of realized what kind of game it was going to be, I think he might have maybe gotten to his own head a little bit, and that's something we haven't seen a lot from with him throughout his first year and throughout his early young career right now. And I think the moment, won't say the moment got too big, because he's already obviously played in some big games already throughout in his young career, obviously. But I just think he saw the way this game was going, and I felt like he might have tried to push the envelope a little too much, because I've never seen so many in one game, so many bad passes leave Jaden Daniels' hands. I mean, a lot of bad passes, a lot of errant passes. And he definitely has to get his timing down with Terry McLaurin. I think that has a lot to do with the fact that they didn't get any work in really throughout the offseason at all. So right now they're kind of just rebuilding that chemistry, and which they had last year. Once that gets clicking on all cylinders, things could really, I think, change a lot for this offense. It can become more dynamic. Sure, late in the game, Debo Samuel made a few plays, Zach Ertz made a few plays, but at late in the game, but that was at that point, it was already pretty much academic. That's why I said don't let the final score fool you. So I just I think this Washington Commander team, I want to really keep an eye on them because they need to prove to me, uh, like you said, Adam, that they can beat some of the cream of the crop in this league if they want to be considered amongst that group of teams, man. Like I said, I still believe in what Jaden Daniel brings to the table, and I don't know if we're going to see him this week against the Raiders. He hasn't practiced all week. It's not looking his day to day. It's not looking very promising that he's going to play, but you never know. It's the NFL, and maybe maybe this is kind of like a chess match right now, and they're just not really letting us know how significant or insignificant this injury is. I didn't know anything about the injury until after the game was over. Like after the game was over, because he obviously played the entire game. The
Right. It
Austin
came out
Eckler injury, yeah, the Austin Eckler injury. Only thing I think that impacts is the fact that the Commanders have a very young running back room, and Austin Eckler was that veteran presence. And I don't necessarily think he was the best running back in their room. I think they might have found a hidden gem in the seventh round draft pick, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, aka Bill. I don't know where Bill comes from, but aka Bill. I think they might have found a hidden gem in that young man. But it's always good to have that veteran presence. You know what I mean? It's like even if he's, like I said, not necessarily the best guy they got, it's just good to always have that leader to fall back on. Like, say the young guys get in there and maybe, they get a little, slippery fingers, you know what I mean? Like, for instance, like the other night watching the Chargers, Omari Hampton late in the game when he put that ball on the ground. All of a sudden, he didn't get any more touches the rest of the night. Those tough touches that down the stretch when they knew they was going to be running the football, they just threw what you call it. They just handed the ball off to Najee Harris the rest of the way. I mean, and it's good to have like a veteran like Austin Eckler, even in moments like that, in case something like you need him in moments like that, and just what he brings to the table. I mean, he's not as dynamic as he once was back in his San Diego days or Los Angeles, whatever, Chargers days, but he's still solid. You know what I mean? He's still a solid piece and can contribute something to the offense, especially in the passing game. He's definitely still pretty dynamic coming out of the backfield in the passing game. So I think that is going to have somewhat of an impact. It's not going to be major, obviously. I don't think it's going to have the impact as if Jaden Daniels is going to be down for weeks. So let's hope. I think that's more significant, obviously, and to make sure they get him back out there. But that's where kind of having a serviceable backup comes into play, and I think they do have that in Marcus Mariota. They have a guy that's been a starter in this league and can go out there and probably if he needs to come out there and start for a couple of games or so, they should be okay with a guy like Marcus Mariota. As far as their defense is concerned, yes, they looked pretty damn dominant against the New York Giants week one. It looked exactly like what I thought it would be against the Green Bay Packers in week two. However, it was just not the same impact. They just, I just don't believe. I mean, they got a couple of guys on that defense. I like what Trey Amos brings to the table. Like that's a guy you was talking about all off season. He showed me a lot Thursday night. He truly did. I just don't know if they have enough on defense, man. And I think that's going to be what ends up really bringing them down this year.
Well, I mean, I agree with you on that. I think what it is to me is their defense plays well when the magic of Jaden Daniels happens. Period. If he can be the guy who's running all over the field and throwing the ball, making the magic happen, they're going to go up, and then their defense can play right into what it needs to do, where it can run to the football, make a few plays here and there, stop the run, right? But if they're losing in terms of the defense not making stops and they face a high-powered offense where they can't get pass rush, it's going to be weaker. Like, for example, when they play the Bears, when they play the Giants, when they play teams like that and that caliber and that tier of offense and of just personnel, they're going to have their way because that personnel fits what they do. When they play a team like Green Bay, who has great running back, good offensive line, great offensive scheme, and a quarterback that's competent, they're going to have trouble. Okay, because this defense predicates themselves on a great offense being good. And the problem is that this is what happens in the NFL. It's hard to build a contender when you're trying to rebuild. The year prior to them getting Jaden Daniels, they were 4-12 or 4-13, whatever the number was. It's irrelevant. They were the second pick in the draft. And then they won their games, and now here they are playing a harder schedule, and you're going to find out that they're going to be competitive in games, but they're not going to be the 12-5 team because they're not built that way yet, right? Von Miller, while he's good, he's a little washed. He's not – I love Von Miller to death, but he's one of the Hall of Fame, but he is not the player that we think he is. And so the only guy there they have that's a cornerstone of their defense right now is Frank Louvu and hopefully Trey Amos. So this offseason, I expect them to spend big on the defensive side of the football. When we're talking about this, I mean, Mac was just mentioning, the Super Bowl. Here I am mentioning the offseason, but what I'm saying is like when the dust settles in the year and they possibly don't make the playoffs, they go back through the film and they're like, all right, well, our offense is solid. We have a decent offensive line, got decent skill players between Luke McCaffrey, Debo and Terry, and even Zach Ertz. We can now focus on rebuilding a defense that we bought Javon Kinlaw in. We have Deron Payne. Those are pretty good players. And then there's just a bunch of guys hodgepodged together, right? And I think they were looking at Preston Smith was the rumor I heard. I don't know if that's true or not. But they probably should have signed Darius Smith like the Eagles did. That probably would have been better. Or even Jadeveon Clowney, like the Cowboys are doing, right? So they need help on that side of the football. It's going to be their Achilles heel when it gets close in these crunch time games. And, we'll see what happens as we go forward.
Yeah, I want to say what up to Coach Ed, man. Thanks for popping in. Appreciate you, Coach Ed. Peace and blessings to you as well, man.
All right. It's okay.
But, look, no Mets, man. I don't know. He's splitting hairs on. I don't know what game he's watching week 1. I'm not talking about the Commanders as a whole necessarily look dominant. I'm talking about defensively, they dominated the New York Giants defensively. Their defense smothered the New York Giants. The New York Giants could not do a damn thing against their defense. So that's what I was talking about. Specifically, their defense dominated the Giants, and their defense looked complete opposite of that on the Packers.
To be honest, I think they weren't bad on offense either. I don't think they were in sync, so it wasn't like the Giants. I was like, oh, yeah, look, the Giants got stops. It was because they dropped passes mostly. They had 3 sacks in the day. Like I said, we're not going to revisit history. But they looked a lot more – they looked like the 12-5 team that we saw against the Giants, and they looked like a team in rebuild mode against Green Bay. And we got to find out what they're going to be. As you mentioned, and as I mentioned, I think they can compete with the team like they play the Raiders next. I think they can compete with the Raiders. You know what I mean? That's the team they should be in their crosshairs to beat. However, when they go up against the Lions later on this year, because they play them again because we played the NFC Central this year, might not be the same outcome as it was in the playoffs.
All right, we're just going to disagree on it then, man. No Mets. But when our defense holds the team to 6 points, that defense has had a pretty dominant day. That's as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't matter about anything else, but we'll disagree on that one. We'll agree to disagree.
Well, if you want to hear what we had to say about that, they can go watch the episode from last week, because we discussed
everyone hit the like button on both these channels, sub up and hit the notification and share on all social media platforms. Let's get their channels to continue to grow. I appreciate that, Coach Ed. Thanks a lot, man. Go do the same thing to Coach Ed, too. Go sub up to Coach Ed if you haven't already, man. Coach Ed's World of Sports, man.
No one said they looked good. We said they were dominant against the Giants. But looking good is 2 different things. I said last week, again, this is why we told you to watch the show last week, but for a summary for you, we said they played a terrible game and still beat the Giants. They weren't hitting on all cylinders, but if you're talking about the defensive unit, they were dominant against the Giants, yes. If you want to talk about overall, the Commanders were a better team. The Giants weren't stopping them on every drive. It was a drop pass here, a drop pass there, overthrow. So, yeah, go rewatch the game. That's it.
I mean, I can agree with that. They haven't looked great. I agree with that. Throughout the 2 weeks, they haven't necessarily looked great. I can agree with that. But don't underestimate the Raiders. David, man, what's going on? David on Facebook, coming in from Facebook as always. Appreciate you from Cedar Hill, Texas, man. Thanks for popping in, David.
Thank you, David. Thank you for
So the Giants held the Giants to 6 points. All right, okay, we're good. I'm not gonna keep talking about that game. We're going to move on from the Commanders right now. You want to get to the Eagles in Kansas City, Adam? Or you got any final thoughts on this Commanders and Packers game?
The Packers were dominant. I mean, we'll have to ask no Mets, but I think the Packers defense was dominant. They're the one of the top teams in the league, and Washington's got a lot of work to do. We'll see what happens against this week.
All right. Well, let's get to the Eagles in Kansas City in the 4:25 game on Sunday afternoon, man. KC and the Chiefs, man, played Kansas Eagles. Eagles got it done. It hasn't been pretty. Through 2 weeks, it hasn't been necessarily pretty for the Eagles, but they're still winning. They're still getting it done. And that's what championship teams do. They find ways to win, even when they're not getting necessarily. And the thing is crazy is we're watching them win games. They're sitting here at 2-0, and they clearly haven't played their best football. Clearly, they have not played their best football. And the fact that they're still coming out of this 2-0 is impressive, man. So I don't know what your thoughts on that matchup against Kansas City on Sunday.
Well, I thought the Eagles, didn't play their best game, but I also give credit to Kansas City for kind of, rising to the occasion, I guess to say. I mean, Kansas City shouldn't have to rise to the occasion, but my point is their defense did an admirable job against that offense, and I just, it was a tough game, and this is what we talk about when we talk about winners. You have winning teams like the Eagles who can do the tush-push on 3rd and 1 that, are disciplined in certain areas of the game where other teams cannot stop them. And when they do that tush-push inside 2 minutes, right, bang, next thing you know, the game's over because they've run out the clock. So stat-wise, it was a physical game. Their offense was not overly impressive if you look at the numbers, but they did what they needed to do on that day. And I think you got to give credit to Kansas City, for holding their own again. And, I think playing a better football game than they did against the Chargers and being in a position to win. I mean, a lot of these games I feel this weekend have come down to moments in time. And what I mean by that is certain moments that we don't know if it's going to come back to bite them. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. A lot of the moments this week have. For example, the 4th and 1 inside the 30-yard line for the Kansas City, or 40-yard line for Kansas City. Right then and there, if you understand that the game's a 10-10 game and you punt the ball away, and I know Andy Reid said in an interview recently, he said, "Oh, I was being aggressive there." He misread that. He made a bad coaching gaffe on that era. He should have just punted the ball away, let your defense, which had been playing a good game at that point, see if they could stop them, right? Maybe knock the ball down, maybe get a punt themselves, and maybe don't lose that possession. So that's one gaffe. Another gaffe is the 58-yarder from a normally reliable kicker in Harrison Buckner. He missed a kick, which would have ended up eventually being the tiebreaker in the game, and who knows what the Eagles would have done. Maybe they don't sit on it there. Maybe they kick the field goal. They could have probably still lost again, but we're talking about strategy changes when you have the lead. And then you also have the missed touchdown from Travis Kelce, which also would have helped them remember, because they did then score a touchdown with Tyquan Thornton. So 10 points came off the board for the Kansas City Chiefs. So we're talking about a 27-20 victory as opposed to a 20-17 victory. Now, again, if ifs and buts are candies and nuts, every day would be Christmas. But we're analyzing this game, and 3 plays really, really magnified the Chiefs' reasons for losing. Not saying the Eagles would have not been able to find a way to win, but it was, if you look at the stats, go look at the numbers, Mac. I looked at them this afternoon. The team is evenly matched. They both had like 400 yards total offense. They both had like 200 yards passing. They both rushed for like 120 yards. They both had the same amount of like almost time possession. The game was virtually even. It's kind of crazy. So when you play a game like that, razor thin mistakes come into play, like razor thin errors that normally might not happen for the Chiefs. The Chiefs throw an interception. Normally they can overcome it because they're so dominant, or they're playing a team that will also turn the ball back over to them. Well, they played the Philadelphia Eagles and gave them a short field. That doesn't help in the grand scheme of things. So if they play, like if they continue to play and get better and start to, hit some of these passes down the field to Tyquan Thornton, Hollywood Brown and Kelsey catches, they'll be able to win games in a grinded out fashion while they get some of their guys back. So I just wanted to point that out. As for the Eagles, real quick, they haven't played their best games, Mac. I'm not looking at these last two victories of the Eagles and man and go, man, they dominated here, they dominated there, they were very impressive. I mean, first game they moved the ball up and down the field, and then kind of got stopped in the second half. This game they had spurts of it, but they really were shut down by Kansas City. And hats off to the Chiefs.
Absolutely agree. The Eagles' defense has been winning them these first couple of games, honestly. Because and the fact that when it is time to make a play off, even on offense, they find a way to get it done. If I would have told you that Jalen Hurts, through 2 weeks, is only passed for 253 yards and no touchdowns, and throughout the first 2 weeks of the season, you wouldn't think the Eagles would be sitting here at 2-0 right now. But yet, this is how good this Philadelphia Eagle football. This is what we're talking about with good football teams. When everything's not going right, they still find other ways to just still get it done, continuously find ways to get it done, man. And
You're right.
Jalen Hurts' numbers right now they're not the greatest through 2 weeks. Let's just face it, they're not. For all the people that were, really getting upset about the quarterback list that came out, well, right now, he's not putting up top 5 quarterback numbers. He's just not. That just is what it is.
But the guy in Dallas is playing better than him.
But at the end of the day, his team is still 2-0, man, and he's still making enough plays to get them where they need to take them where they need to be, man. And like I said, I think the scariest part about this Eagle team right now is the fact that, like we both just mentioned, they haven't played their best football yet. So just wait till that starts happening, and then I don't know what else to say. Saquon Barkley had a pretty decent day. 88 yards on the ground, another touchdown. He's got a couple on the year already throughout the first couple of weeks. You'd like to see the passing game pick up a little bit, but right now they're doing just enough, and they're getting it. Like I said, getting job. And defensively, they look like as good as they were a season ago on the defense side of the ball. They making plays. They got, once again, rookies making plays, stepping up guys. That McCool got that big interception out that bounce out of Travis Kelce's hands. Once again, just so rookies paying dividends for the Eagles. There's not a lot you can say bad about this team, even if you really want to. You just can't. It's just hard to. Do I think they're the best team in the NFL right now, currently through 2 weeks? No. But I've already expressed that. I don't think they are. But that doesn't mean I think they're still a very good team, and I think they can still, at some point, get up to that point of being, once again, the best team in the league, let alone in the NFC. They can definitely play up to that point. They just haven't played up to that point through 2 weeks of the season. So, I don't really have a lot. I don't really have a lot to dive into with the Eagles right now. They're still a very good team. It's like you almost want to say they're off to a slow start, but they're 2-0. So it's like it's like weird. It's like it just hasn't looked as impressive as you would think it would look. That's all. But at the end of the day, they also have played the Cowboys divisional matchup, the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl runner-up. So it ain't like they played against slouches either throughout the first 2 weeks of the season either. So
and they easily could be 0-2, to be honest. Let's be fair.
They could be. They very easily could have lost both of those games. But like we said, this is a championship caliber team, and that's what championship caliber teams do. They find ways to win. The tush push is still dominant. No one can stop it. And his bookends just said it right there. A W is a W. There is no such thing as style points when it comes to that win-loss column. It's about the W or the L. And it don't matter how either one of them, it don't matter how either one of them get there. It's about the W or the L.
Well, then we're going to find out. We're going to find out in the next segment how true that is.
Exactly. I don't know if you got more you want to touch on in this game, or we can get to that, because that one that's going to be a talking point. That's going to be a talking point.
I think a lot of people need to, they need to hear what they really came here for. Let's be honest.
Yeah, let's get to the 1 o'clock window on Sunday, man. New York Giants going down to Dallas, playing in another NFC East divisional matchup. hoping to avoid an 8th straight NFC East loss. Played about as good as we've seen the New York Giants play on offense in years. And yet,
Probably a decade.
the New York Giants still come away with the L, 40-37 in overtime. Heartbreaking loss. A lot of blame to go around. Let you go ahead first, Adam.
Well, you're right, Mac. And Russell Wilson gave me the old F you, right? He said, Adam, I heard your rant. I heard your rant on last week. I heard what you said about me, Rusty Russell, washed up, Mr. Limited. Well, guess what, mister? I am back. However, Russell put that great performance together, and at the end of the game when we needed him the most, he made two of the biggest errors that were in the game. And is where I'm talking about. Somebody brought this up to me, and I loved it. I think it was Salicata, WFAN, one of those idiots out there. Sorry, guys. You are idiots, but love you. Anyways, they were talking about Russell Wilson and Jackson Dart. And I think it was Licata who goes, if Jackson Dart did this, I'd be so happy right now. I'd be so happy. We got our quarterback. We threw for 400 yards, blah, 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 whatever numbers he ended up with, right? 37 points. But because it's Russell Wilson, it's like, man, great. But he's going to be going in 15 games, right? So while I liked what they did and I thought it was great, they lost. An L's an L. And you lost in the most giant way. First off, let's get to the law. Let's fast forward, right? Let's get
giant
to the
way.
Let's get to the fucking fourth quarter because the other three quarters are irrelevant because the fourth quarter was a fucking fireworks display. If you thought the Macy's Fireworks Spectacular was great, well, the fourth quarter of this game was fireworks galore. So we get to the fourth quarter. The Giants are now up, 20-17. And then the Cowboys go down the field and they score. They're 24, to 20 right now. Then the Giants score and it's like the Cowboys go down and score with 52 seconds left in the game. After they just got 20 points, the Giants score another touchdown. I think it was Wan'Dale Robinson who caught a touchdown to put them up 24 to put them up 24-20. And when they went down and scored and had the ball, I'm like, man, all they're going to need to do is just run the clock out because they're moving the football and not give any time back because the Giants possibly could score. So I thought the Cowboys ran one too less plays. What does I mean by that? Like, yes, you want to score the touchdown, but what if they had ran the ball at that point, right? And then they got up to the line and they still had a timeout. They still have a timeout to use, I think, at this point, or you could still at least gotten 2 plays in the huddle, ran the football, put some time on the clock, and you would still have 2 downs to get in the end zone. Now, they might not have made it. We could be second guessing that idea right now. However, they didn't, so they scored. Now, when there's 52 seconds left in the game, I don't know if the Giants have time. With Daniel Jones, I would have said it was curtains. It would have been curtains for the Giants. Well, we had Russell Wilson, and here we go. Russell Wilson goes down the field. The Cowboys are playing prevent defense, which obviously didn't prevent them from anything because there goes Russell Wilson running on his lead feet, gets to about the 50-yard line, is there, gets everybody ready. They don't get much more yardage. It's now 4th down and 3, and you're like, oh, this is it. And the Giants got to go do something here. There's about 30-something seconds left on the clock, and he's one downfield. Now, if you go watch the radio broadcast and hear it with the layover, Carl Banks called it out. He said they're probably going to try to go deep here. They've been doing it all game. Well, they go deep bomb to Neighbors. He catches the game. I'm like going crazy. Ludd, my friend who's also watching the game, he's going crazy, right? So we're both going crazy watching this game. And I'm like, but this guy has a great leg and they still have a couple timeouts. The Giants need to be cautious here because this guy could drill a kick from the moon. So Cowboys get the ball. Here we are. 25 seconds to go. Cowboys start to throw a ball to Jake Ferguson. Mind you, they got the ball at the 35-yard line because they kicked the fucking touchback. All right? So they're like, oh, they got the ball. Boom. They go downfield. Jake Ferguson. Boom. Great play. Right? Then all of a sudden, they are stuck at like the 50-yard line. They get a couple penalties back and forth. And then it's like it's like what, 3rd down and what, 13? They get a measly 3 yards. And what was it? It wasn't a measly 3 yards. Basically, Javonte Williams fell over so they could get him basically centered up for the kick. If you watch him, Javonte Williams, while he got tackled, he knew what he was doing. It was kind of, once he got hit, kind of just fell to the ground and did what he did. They were going to take that field goal even if they didn't get it. They were going to say, fuck it, we've got the best kicker in the game. We're going to do it. That's the mindset of Brian Schottenheimer. He got nothing to lose, and he's got the best kicker in the game. The guy can kick from 70. Probably saw him kick from 70 in warm-ups. So he's like, you know what, Giants, go ahead. So here we are, 64 yards, and I'm like, yo, boom. They put a graphic up on the screen. 89% this guy is from like 59 yards plus. 89%. I'm like, holy shit. Holy fucking shit. So they snap it, hold, kick. You see it move a little bit. I'm like, oh, shit, it went in. And then you look at the replay, and that shit had an extra 8 or 9 yards on it. He could have kicked that shit from 70 back, from 70. And I blame Shane Bowen for not playing aggressive defense. You know who else I blame? Fucking Brian Dable. Everybody wants to fucking throw shade on fucking Shane Bowen, and he's going to get his. Don't you worry. That motherfucker, I don't know what the fuck he's doing. 2 weeks in a row, don't know what the fuck he's doing. But Brian Dable, have some balls, yo. You want to fucking throw? No blitzing. You want to throw Hudson under the bus, right? And bench him. But then your coordinator is out there, and you have to stop a certain yard marker. You have to stop a certain yard marker. Don't let them get past the 50. Hello, don't let them get past the 50. Maybe blitz. And what do? You watch fucking Bobby Okereke and a few other idiots running down the motherfucking field down the center. For what? For what? What are they doing? They're not looking at anything. The ball's already out. And then we get into overtime. Okay? We get into overtime, and the Giants defense finally makes a couple stops. Again, good job. Then they get the ball to the offense, the most reliable offense, and boom, there goes Russell Wilson. I don't know what the fuck he was doing, but I guess he was trying to pull the ball back and do something. The ball went laterally, and nobody ran for it except for Scatterbo. And that could have, imagine if that's how the game ended. That would have been ridiculous. And then finally the Cowboys get a minuscule amount of pressure, and they throw the ball, and it's intercepted. And I'm looking at my friend Ludd, and I'm like, it's over. He's like, well, what if it ends in a tie? I'm like, they're not, because the Cowboys only have to play 40 yards to get in the field goal range. And what did
Bowden get to the 50?
What did Bowden do it again? What did Bowden do it again? He didn't play any defense. He let them mark bing, bing, bing right down the field. And then guess what? When they actually had a chance to stop him and make it a hard field goal from like 50-yard line, we run man coverage for the first fucking time, and up the middle goes Dak Prescott on a back-breaking run. And at that point, the game was over. And Mac, you said it before, and I hope people are not missing this. An L's an L. And this coach is 0-8 in the division. That is terrible. And I'll stop talking. I'll get to Bowen in a minute, but those are my thoughts starting out.
Yeah, it was frustrating. Frustrating to watch this because, like I said, the offense, we haven't seen New York Giant offense look this good. And up here on your comment, I am not blaming Russell Wilson, not one iota. Russell Wilson threw for 450 yards, 3 touchdown passes. I can't ask Russell Wilson to do anything more than that. I can't. Interception came at an inopportune time, but at the end of the day, that did not cost us this game. That's not what cost us this game. It happened at a bad time, but it still is not what cost us this game. I mean, I can't put that on him because at the end of the day, that interception essentially was almost like a punt in a way too, if you think about it. So, you can look at it from that perspective as well. So I'm not blaming Russ on this one. Russ was cooking all game long, man. At the moon balls, he had him going. I mean, dropping back. Hitting Wan'Dale Robinson for deep moon ball. I mean, we haven't seen that kind of play out of Wan'Dale Robinson ever his whole entire career. I've never seen him. I don't know. I've never seen Wan'Dale catching deep balls down the field like that ever that I can recall. I mean, not that I can recall at least.
No. He had like 1 or 2, but nothing like this.
Yeah, and so I mean, the fact that the New York Giants had two wide receivers over 100 yards on the day, like I said, a quarterback thrown for 450 yards. Look, this ain't on the offense at all. The offense did what they need to do. They scored 37 points. There wasn't no defensive scores here. They scored 37 damn points. Well, the run game needs to pick up. I agree. It does need to pick up, but I don't know what's going on with that. I mean, only ran 21 times. Scatterboo, 11 carries. Tyrone Tracy, only 5 carries. I don't understand that at all. They were using them exclusively as a kick returner. And I don't know if that had any impact on why they were using him less on the offense. I don't know. I don't like that. I want to see more of a share, carry share, whatever I'm trying to say with him and Scatterboo. I think they can bring a good dynamic together because they have such different running styles. And I would like to see them have that be more involved like that. And the offensive line actually played pretty solid after the first drive. I mean, look, James Hudson, me personally, I would have cut that fucking guy at halftime. We'd have went in the locker room. I'd have called him in the office. I'd have said, look, take your uniform off. We're done here. I don't even want you to find your way home. You got enough money. Find your own way home. We're done here. It's no way. I don't want that on my team. This guy got 4 penalties on the first drive. 4 penalties. 2 of them were personal fouls. There's no excuse for that. And then you get a couple of false start penalties as well. And you're taking big plays off the board. I mean, one of those, Tyrone Tracy, what I was just talking about, 5 catches, 15 yards. Well, unfortunately, thanks to James Hudson, Tyrone Tracy had like a 24, 25-yard run that got wiped off the damn board because of James Hudson. You know what I mean? So things like this are what bother me about this football team because we have so much going good in this game, and then it's those same old, some few bad things that just ruin the whole thing, man. Ruin the whole thing. Shane Bowen, it would have been so hard for me not to fire you on Monday morning. It would have been hard to not fire you because the kind of defense that you were playing in those situations made no sense, especially with a weapon like Aubrey, the kicker Aubrey Cowboys, who is right now currently the absolute best kicker in the NFL. And to have a weapon like that kicking the ball they have, all they need to do is basically get to the 50-yard line, to midfield. Right. And you're playing these guys 20 yards off. You're playing these guys, these D-backs way back, letting them just pretty much pitch and catch their way into field goal range, essentially. Which, and to me, it's no excuse for that. You got to be aggressive in those situations. You got to put the heat on Dak. You got to bring the pressure. You got Abdul Carter. You got Kayvon Thibodeau. You got Brian Burns. You got Dexter Lawrence. You got to put the heat on that man. You letting him just sit back and just doink, 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 doink. All right, come on, Aubrey. Kick that 64-yard bomb. That's just ridiculous. And then Brian Dable, you're not the hook, like you said, off the hook either, because the reality is this. You ran Wink Martindale out of town. And then, but you're tolerating this nonsense from Shane Bowen, the way he's calling the game. You're satisfied with that? You can't be. And as the head coach, at some point, you got to take the reins and say, look, man, you got to do something better. After the last drive in the fourth quarter, and when the Cowboys tied it up, to go into overtime, if you didn't have a conversation with Shane Bowen to be like, look, man, we're in the overtime now. We get that ball back. We get a stop or whatever. We get that ball back. You have to be more aggressive. I mean, when they get the ball back, you got to be more aggressive. You got to get after it. You got to put the heat on. I mean, it's just. I was watching a podcast last night on the Young Guns podcast, the Hub and Kid Blue, and they pulled up one play at one point, defensive snap, where the front line, across the front line, it was Chauncey Golston, Roy Robert Harrison. I don't even know who else. That Elijah Garcia guy. And I don't even know, and somebody else. And then you had Brian Burns playing off-ball linebacker on this same play. And it's like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, why is there ever all of those guys on the field at one time? I get they rotate in here and there, but why are they all on the field at one time? As if we just said, okay, all you good guys, all our better guys, y'all come out right now all at once, and we're gonna put all these guys in. To me, it's just crazy to me, some of the stuff we see with this football team. It doesn't make sense. What is going on too, Tudo? Appreciate in the chat, man. Thanks for stopping in, man. But to me, this team scored 37 points, like I said, the offense put up 30. And normally we're up here talking about how bad the offense is and what the offense didn't do, and they didn't score points, and they didn't do this, and they didn't do that. And sure, there were still other opportunities the offense left on the table. You know what I mean? They could have put up more points than the 37 they scored. But I'm still not mad. They scored 37 damn points. Like I said, you had quarterback playing out of his mind. You had a couple receivers playing out of their mind. The running game does need to pick up. But Scatterbill overall had a still pretty solid game for his second career game. Pretty solid performance overall. Overall, it wasn't bad. You know what I mean? Of course, he had that one big drop on that fourth down. But not gonna hold him to that. It wasn't necessarily a perfect pass, but it was something he should have still. Neighbors. It was something he
had a huge
something
drop.
He should have been able to catch.
It was a huge drop. It was a big momentum, big drop.
But
we aren't
this. But like this team, man, like I said, there's no excuse for them to have lost this football game the way they played offensively for sure. Defensively, look, can we all pump the brakes now, y'all? Can we pump the brakes? Look, myself included. We hyped this defense up clearly with Shane Bowen calling this defense. It's not looking like it's going to be a top 10, top 5, top 10, not top anything. Because right now they're still getting just destroyed in the run game. Once again, the Cowboys ran the ball very well against this Giants team to the tune of 135 yards on the ground. Javonte Williams, 97 of those yards. That's not good enough. That's never going. And I understand Dex is still kind of getting his feet wet a little bit.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, he's only one guy. Where's the rest of you guys that they've been out there all spring, all summer, like that, been getting it in, getting it done, man. And another thing I want to talk about before I pass the mic back on offense, man. There was something that did happen in this game offensively that needs to become a permanent fixture. And after that disastrous first drive by one Mr. James Hudson III, the New York Giants did show him to the bench at least. Okay, and then they inserted one Mr. Marcus Bowe, 5th round draft pick out of Purdue. Put him in at left tackle. Didn't hear his name the rest of the game. And when you don't hear an offensive lineman's name, that means he's doing something good. That's all it means. And Marcus Bowe played phenomenal out there. Overall, for his first, basically he played the whole game. He only just missed that first drive, obviously. So he went out there. I'm very impressed with what I saw from Marcus Bowe in this game. I had a close eye on him. That young man was holding his own out there, was not allowing pressures, did not allow Russ to take, wasn't getting Russ killed from the blind side. She demonstrated he had very good footwork. The opposite of what Evan Neal has demonstrated over the course of his career tenure here with the Giants. Great footwork. He's not as one thing I do know is about him. He does need to get a little more physically stronger, be a little more, so he can be a little more dominant in his run blocking. But that'll come. I think that will definitely come. This young man is one of the New York Giants' best 5 offensive linemen, I feel like now at this point. And now he needs to remain in the starting lineup some kind of way, even when Andrew Thomas comes back, which from what I'm hearing may actually be Sunday night. But
I don't know.
So
about that.
So you don't know about what?
Andrew Thomas coming back yet. I don't know.
They're saying it's looking pretty good that he might actually be out there Sunday night. But things I've been hearing. But
is he going to be healthy enough to, you're putting him in a huge spot, right, against one of the best defensive lines in football. And, I don't want him to come out there and overcompensate. Next thing you know, he's out. You know what I mean? If you deem that he can use an extra week and you got the young kid, like you said, that can play, then put the young kid out there one more week and let him come back against the Chargers when he's fully healthy, and not just – and he can do a full week of practice in pads When he's in pads, if he's in pads tomorrow, like actually hitting, then I'll be like, yo, he's gonna play. But until I see that, I'm not penciling him in yet.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, I'm just saying what I've been hearing, that the portions that he might be like she could be geared up and ready to go for Sunday night, but it's not still nothing guaranteed. Nothing. We'll find out more. Probably know more about Friday for sure when the injury report, official injury report, comes out.
You make a good point, and we'll see if Brian Dable has the balls. But if Membo is one of your top 5, and we go back and let's say our interior, which hasn't been great, and is going to play a very good interior D tackle in Chris Jones and a couple other defensive players in there, if they can't get push, you might have to shuffle this line and say, you know what? I'm going to put Illuminor here. I'm going to put Membo here. I'm going to put Thomas here and just go and make your best 5. You know what I'm saying? And I hate to do that, but I'd rather do that than do what they're doing with Evan Neal, who, by the way, like, I don't know what you're doing with that guy. Get rid of him. Get rid of him. Get rid of Hyatt. If you're not going to play these guys, get rid of them. Okay? There's no point in having a first-round pick sit on the bench. You're telling me down the goal line he can't be used, can't utilize that guy? Put him in a fullback role, right? Make him a fucking fullback in the goal line. Say, here,
I was definitely going to get to that next, for sure. Yeah, these two guys, Evan Neal, Jalen Hyatt, 2 weeks in the season, neither one of them have taken a snap. Jalen Hyatt has gotten a uniform and had to take. He's in uniform and just sitting on the sideline wasting away. And Evan Neal, he's not even getting a uniform. He's been a healthy scratch 2 weeks in a row. A healthy scratch. Now, granted, the O-line played a lot better this week. Played a lot better this week, but at the same time, I just don't get it. Evan Neal is not great, but you kept him on the roster for a reason, right? So why is he a healthy scratch? Why is he not getting a uniform? Like you said, in goal line packages, he could be an extra lineman. Because I tell you what, Evan Neal is not a great pass blocker at all. He's terrible, as a matter of fact, at that. He's terrible. But he's a big, strong motherfucker that can move people out the way in the run game. He's been a pretty solid run blocker throughout his career. He's done that pretty well. And in certain packages on the goal line situations like that, he could be of use in those situations. Why is he a healthy scratch? It doesn't make sense. If you're not going to use him, you should have traded him and got something for him or something or another. It doesn't make sense. And the same with Jalen Hyatt. If you're not going to use him, why are they taking up roster spots? Why are they taking up roster spots if you're not going to use them? It makes no sense. Especially considering what you did invest in them. I mean, it's just, I don't necessarily disagree with you down here, Lou Vid. I don't disagree with you. I feel like I can care about either one of them being here. But the fact of the matter is they are here. And if they're here, you might as well use them. I mean, the way Russell was throwing them moon balls on Sunday, shit. You think Hyatt can't run behind the defense? That's what he does best. The hell. Russ had it going on with the deep balls on Sunday. Probably would have been a good time to insert Hyatt in there for a play or two. And say, hey, go for it. Russ got the deep ball going today. He's cooking. You know what I mean? I just things that you can do. And I feel like this team just fails in so many categories. Like Bookend said a while back up here in the comments, you just find ways to lose constantly find ways to lose. This team, I just can't figure it out. It's like you don't want to win, even when you play decent, solid football overall for the most part. Because 14 penalties for 160 yards is unforgivable. Also, we ain't even talking about that. We've got to bring that up. That's unforgivable. You can disagree with some of the calls, because I do think some of them were a little questionable, especially those roughing the passer penalties that I hate so much because I think they're absolutely ridiculous at this point now. But the way they call it, you know that's the way they call it. And it is what it is. So you got to just be better and you got to be smarter. And you can't rack up 14 penalties at 160 yards, and that's just not a recipe for winning either. So, like I said, a lot of blame to go around in this one. And Dallas, like I said, I don't know. What do you – because we've been talking mostly I feel like about the Giants, but more so specifically. Thing about Dallas, I noticed in this game, with the New York Giants defensively in this game, for the most part, for most of this game, they kept CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens in check for the majority of this game. But when it mattered most in the fourth quarter and into that overtime, the cream rises to the top. CeeDee Lamb exploded in the fourth quarter of this football game and really took it over for the Dallas Cowboys offense. And I think that had a big difference in this game as well. I don't know what your thoughts on that was.
Well, I thought Dak Prescott had a solid football game. I think he played a really good game. And I never thought that the Cowboys were in doubt. I thought once they scored the 10 points, right, they moved the ball down the field and we couldn't quite bury them, right, when we had the chance to bury them. I think that's what kind of got them in. In the second half, they made their adjustments and their offensive line got better as the game wore on and our guys got tired. That's what happens when you run the football. And CeeDee Lamb getting more involved. I think what we forget is we talk about Wandell. I think he might have been mad because my favorite player on the Cowboys, George Pickens, was on the other side. So Wandell had to show me, say, hey, Adam, do you really want Pickens or not? Pickens, he made a couple big catches in the fourth quarter and overtime that really helped him. He had a touchdown catch, but I think in overtime he also had a catch against Paulson Debo where he snatched the ball and Debo was behind him and he's going up the field and makes a huge play. And he's starting to get going. Ferguson had a couple good plays. What I will say about this is the Cowboys took what were given. They got a couple sacks. The Giants did get pressure on them, but for the most part, the Cowboys offense held their own, and Dak was able to move around and do what he needed to do and maneuver. I don't ever feel like Dak did get hit, of course, against a couple big sacks with the Garcia sack, which could have been a big play, but Dak probably held the ball a little too long. Even the announcer admitted it. And then there was another one where he kind of did the same thing where he just kind of stood there and hoped guys were breaking out. But I thought for the most part their offense was solid. They came to life. I didn't think they were going to score 40 points, but look at them. They scored 40. And I think they're one of the hardest offenses to defend because they don't have to play the whole field. When you have a kicker that can kick from the 50, all you have to do is if you get turnovers and touchdowns and you score, when the game gets close, it starts to favor the Cowboys. If they can make stops, right? That's the big key, if they make stops. Because if you take a lead, right, for example, they were up like 7 points, and they stopped the Giants on defense. They could have just kept kicking field goal after field goal after field goal, and the game would have been out of reach. But it never happened like that. So I was very impressed with what the Cowboys offense did. I was impressed with their run game. Javonte Williams, we spoke about him at the beginning of the year. I told you he would be a capable back. He's only getting better as the season goes on. And he's showing you that he's rounding into form to be the back that he was in Denver. And they can score points with the best of them. I think the Cowboys are going to be better than people think. I think, for me, I think their offense is a 40-point offense. I don't know if our offense was a 40-point offense, because here's why I'm going to throw a little damper on the Giants real quick. The Cowboy defense had a lot of busted coverages. Now, we can say all we want about, how good they were. A lot of the times, it looked like it was a coverage bust. Like, Donovan Wilson didn't, anticipate Malik Neighbors' speed and kind of flat-footed it across when it should have been up over the top, right? Some of those plays shouldn't have happened defensively that happened, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the Giants or whatever, but when you're learning a new defense, because remember they have Eberflus coming in, and you're being defended in certain ways, the Giants got to take advantage of these miscommunications and new personnel that they had going back there. And I think as they go on, you'll start to see the Cowboys get a little better back there. But the guy I want to talk about real quick on the Cowboys is Kenneth Murray, number 59. That guy's a beast, bro. He's all over the field. And once they get rid of number 57, Sansone, because he stinks, and they put in Overshown, I think their defense will be better going forward. I think they need to bring a little bit more pressure. They didn't do that against the Giants. I think they didn't. They tried not to do that because the Giants were going to hit them over the top. But we'll see. We'll see what happens this week. I think they have a good matchup to go 2-1.
Absolutely. I mean, we'll see what happens. But this was a tough one, man. I mean, I lost my damn voice watching this game. I don't know if anybody was tuned into my aftermath after the game. I lost my damn voice. My voice was a mess. I was screaming. Like I said, this games like this are the reason why I don't call games live, because I just can't control myself. And when certain things happen, I can't. I mean, it just is what it is. I lose control. I've been kicked out of establishments while watching New York Giant games. Like, so that's how real it gets with me. I've been literally been escorted to the door in bars and shit while watching New York Giant games, because I can tend to lose a little control sometimes. Can't help it. I'm just that passionate about this football team. And this is a tough one, man. Like I said, but Brian Dable, man, I think right now it's on. I put most of it on you as the head coach, man. It has to be. You got to do better, man. You got to clean this up, man. A lot of the issues on Sunday were issues from schematics and coaching and just discipline, and that falls on the head coach. Ultimately, that's who it falls on. I'm not satisfied with Shane Bowen by no means, no way, shape, or form, man. That dude's got to go as far as I'm concerned. He's just not an aggressive enough play caller, and if you're not going to use the weapons you have too many good weapons on this defense to not utilize them better than what you're doing. I mean, Brian Burns is off to a great start, though. I will say that. It's 4 sacks on the year already, the first 2 weeks. So I mean, that's impressive. That's a bright spot. Kayvon Thibodeau had a pretty solid game on Sunday as well. We're still, Abdul Carter is still coming along. He's getting good pressure. He still hasn't quite got home to the quarterback quite yet, but he's kind of still causing sacks to have it. Because I know that one of the ones that I think the one Kayvon got, I believe Abdul Carter was a big reason for that. For Kayvon Thibodeau getting that sack. So, I mean, Abdul Carter has been very disruptive. People have been trying to say, oh, he's not looking like a 3rd overall pick. He's out your mind. Hey, he's only played 2 games in his career, okay? And he's been disruptive. So just calm down. He's gonna get there, folks. He is gonna get there. But I don't have anything else on this one, man. If you want to get ready to preview these games next week, we got 4 of them to look at, man.
Sure.
All right, let's go back to Washington, man. Washington hosting the Las Vegas Raiders, and on Sunday. How you see this one playing out, possibly without Jaden Daniels?
Well, if the Commanders can't beat the Raiders, who are they are a great football team. They're a team that the Commanders should be better than, right? There's that word, should be better than. With Jaden Daniels not being out there, this is where we talk about backup quarterbacks. I believe that they're going to beat the Raiders. I think they're going to hold it close to the vest with Jaden Daniels' status for gamesmanship, obviously to do that so the Raiders can prepare for him. But I think this game, Mariota can execute the offense, mind you, and I think that he'll be enough to do it. Now, their personnel is not overly crazy, right? So they'll be able to get some pressure on Geno and force him into some mistakes. Geno will give you the ball. That is for sure. He will give you the football. 3 interceptions last week. We'll see what happens, but I just think the Commanders are going to right the ship. You have 10 days to get it right. If you can't figure out a game plan to beat this team that is coming off a drubbing against the Chargers on Monday Night Football, and you had all this time to prepare, then shame on you. And I think the Commanders will come out with a little bit more fire, a little bit more passion, and be able to bottle up the Raiders a little bit better, because I believe they match up a little bit better than they did against Green Bay.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, Jaden Daniels is a huge loss, but like we were talking earlier, Marcus Mariota is a more than capable backup quarterback, a guy with a lot of starting experience in this league. And the Raiders, like you said, they're not terrible. I wouldn't call them necessarily terrible, but they're not great. They're not very good. They're not good. They're not a good team. They're definitely not a good team. They got Geno Smith. Geno Smith's not playing bad football. He's one of the more accurate passes in the league and all that and whatnot. And this Washington defense proved to not be very good on Thursday night against the Packers. I think they do have there is a possibility Geno could possibly pick this defense apart a bit. Brock Bowers is obviously a very dangerous weapon on that offense, but I don't know. Commanders are at home, and I don't know. I like to think Marcus Mariota is good enough to get them a victory over the Raiders. I think he's good enough to get them a victory over the Raiders. Khalil Mack, no, I thought he played for the Chargers. Yeah, Khalil Mack plays for the Chargers, Kev. I'm pretty sure.
He does.
But
Yes.
yeah, he's probably gonna be out. He got hurt. He got messed his elbow up or something the other night. But on Monday night. But yeah, I think even with Marcus Mariota at the helm, I think there's still enough good pieces on his Washington offense. And he has that dynamic. He has that. He can also, Marcus Mariota can run too. He's got them legs on him too, man. So he definitely can beat you with his legs as well. So I think that'll be good enough to still find a way to get the job done against the Raiders on Sunday. I feel like even with or without Jaden Daniels, they can get the job done. I think it'll be a pretty close game because I think Geno Smith can really probably do some damage to this defense, honestly, if he can get into a rhythm. And then Ashton Genty as well. I think they need to get him some more opportunities and utilize him a little bit better than they have the first couple weeks of this season. But I do believe that nonetheless, I think ultimately the Commanders can find a way to get the job done here and get the W and get out of this one, lead this one 2-1 in week 3, man. Yeah, he did. He absolutely played for the Raiders here. That's where he started off with the Raiders, and then he got traded away from the Raiders. But Khalil Mack, talking about Khalil Mack.
He's very injured now.
Yeah, but thanks for stopping in, though. I appreciate you coming in, though, Kev, man. I appreciate that, and I like your boys this week, man. I do like your boys. I think they're gonna get the job done at home against average Raiders team. Yeah, any other thoughts on this matchup, Adam?
Basically, like I said, if your backup quarterback can't win you a game, then he's not worth being your backup quarterback. So if Marcus Mariota can't give you serviceable play to beat the Raiders, and you want to claim that you're a good team, you should be able to rise to the occasion and figure it out and beat a team like the Raiders, who, by the way, are technically in a rebuild mode. They are competitive because they have Pete Carroll, and they're no slouch, but they are in a rebuild mode. So you got to beat this team. They're on your level or below you, actually.
I think the key to this for them is going to just being able to keep Geno Smith under control. Because if you let him get comfortable back there, like you're gonna have to be able to get your pass rush going a little bit on him. If he is comfortable back there, I think he will be able to pick this defense apart. Though I think that could be the one way the Raiders can get the Commanders here if they're not able to get pressure on Geno and able to just force him into some bad throws. Because if you let him get comfortable, he'll pick this defense apart. And Brock Bowers will definitely tear up the middle of this field. So we'll see how that goes, man. Who's up next? Let's go to the Eagles, I guess. The Eagles playing the Rams. Another rematch from the postseason, man. How you feel? How you think about this one, Adam?
I'm gonna go with the Rams because they're looking poised for a big year, and I think this is the game they circled on their calendar that they wanted the most. And I feel it's in LA or is it in Philly?
I'm about to check right now. Hold on. It is in. Man, where the hell is it at? Where is this game at?
Not that it matters. These two teams can go.
It's in Philly. Yeah, it's in Philly.
But remember, last time the Rams were in Philly, they had an opportunity. Now, their coach, I don't know how he's going to be coaching. I heard that he hurt his Achilles in the game.
The coach?
Yes, Sean McVay is injured. So I don't know if that
coach got injured. Jesus.
I think I heard that somewhere. Don't quote me on it, but someone mentioned that he might have tore his Achilles or something like that, or pulled a calf muscle, or did something. So we'll see how that affects the team. This guy is tough, so I wouldn't be surprised to put him in a walking boot and he's on the sideline coaching the team, or on a wheelchair, or coaching. See, he got rolled up on, so he's injured.
Oh shit.
So maybe who knows how bad the injury is. But he was limping off the field, they said. So we'll see what happens. That could be a factor, in the game if he's not there to help coach it. But if he's on the sideline, I think this is the test they've been waiting for. They got eliminated by this team last January. So they've been waiting 9 months for this moment. And I think it's going to be a great game. And I think the Eagles suffer their first loss this week.
Ooh, calling for the upset. I think this is the game where we get good Eagles and we get the Eagles start to break out a little bit, man. I mean, I honestly, between both of these two teams, I mean, neither one of them have played their best football. Honestly, I mean, they're both 2-0, obviously, but neither team has stepped up and played what we think was the best football that they could play. I think this is the week we get that from the Eagles. I mean, like I said, Jalen Hurts so far in the season, no touchdown passes as of yet through 2 games. He hasn't even passed for 300 yards combined in the 2 games. I just think this could be the game in which the Eagles finally offense comes a little more alive, and we get AJ Brown a little more involved, and we see a little more of Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert and those guys, and get a big performance from Saquon Barkley. I just feel like they haven't yet, and I think this is the week where it may just happen. I think the Rams have been slightly underwhelming, even though, like I said, they're 2-0. They almost caught it up to the Titans on Sunday, even though they did pull away late in the game. The game was close throughout the whole majority of that football game against a lowly Tennessee Titans team. So I just think this is the week for the Eagles, man, to be honest, where they're gonna kind of come out and make that emphatic statement. They've probably been hearing everybody pumping up the Green Bay Packers, pumping up the Packers, talking about how good the Packers are, and the Packers may be the favorites in the NFC now, and this, that, and the other. And Eagles, they might act like they don't listen to that stuff or hear those things or, read those articles, but they do. They do. Because they're regular people just like us. They go home and turn their TV on, and they see ESPN or see whatever, and they see all that same shit we see, whether they like to admit it or not. They try to act like they ignore it or don't pay attention to it, but they see it. They hear it. They know what's out there in the universe right now, and I think they go out there and want to make a statement. And I think the Eagles go out there and they take it to the Rams today, and it won't be nearly as competitive as what we got in January. That's just my opinion. I think the Eagles come alive this week and give the Rams their first loss. You got any more thoughts on this one, or you want to go to the Dallas?
Don't sleep on that Rams defense, my friend. That's all I have to say.
Not. I don't know. You saw who I picked for my defensive player of the year. It ain't looking very promising so far, but hey, still early in the year. So
yeah, listen, not everybody plays like that to start out. But I'm just saying, their defense, Sean McVay, this is the game that if any game that you want to bet, you might want to put some shekels down the Rams. This would be the game.
I mean, it could. From one standpoint, I feel where you're coming from, because that game back in the postseason back in January, those kind of losses, man, stick with you. They do stick with you, and you remember, and you kind of remember those, and you wait for the opportunity to get to see this team again, and this is their opportunity. But I don't know. I think this is still. I just feel like at home, this is the week the Eagles break out again a little bit and make a statement. Come out here and make a statement. You get Jalen Hurts maybe back trying to throw the ball over the yard again and make some plays with his arm a little bit more, a few more plays with his arm, and prove to everybody why he's supposed to be, should be considered one of the elite quarterbacks in this league. But Dallas in the 4:00 window on Sunday headed to Chicago to take on the Bears. I'm not gonna hold you. I thought the Bears were going to kind of, be better than what we've seen through 2 weeks. But after what I saw Sunday, I'm just not sure what this team is going to be now, man. I don't care who you're playing against. When you get beat down like that, it's never a good look. I don't know what's your thoughts on this game, Dallas and Chicago. It's in Chicago at Soldier Field, man.
I think the Chicago Bears are fucked. I just think that they haven't played. They had a game against Minnesota where they had a meltdown, and they lost a game they probably should have won. And then last week they did not play well at all. And I just think the Cowboys can score points. And I don't know how good the Chicago offense is. Their defense is going to be solid. But it's Caleb Williams playing against Eberflus, who definitely is going to probably want to put a little stink on it for what they did to him in Chicago. So with that being said, it's not like they're going to know the ins and outs of the offense. However, they will know the strengths and weaknesses of the players. Caleb Williams, he was there. He knows all about Caleb Williams. He knows all about some of the players in the offense. Ben Johnson, he's coached against Ben Johnson's kind of offense. It's not going to be unfamiliar territory for Eberflus this Sunday. And I think you're going to see more poor play out of Caleb Williams because he doesn't know how to play traditional quarterback because he wasn't taught to play traditional quarterback. He was taught to be the backyard quarterback that he is, and that doesn't work in the NFL. And they don't have a great – DeAndre Swift is good, but, you can see where the inconsistencies lie. The inconsistencies lie with the young quarterback trying to grasp this new offense and doing things out of character. And I'm not saying that the Cowboys' defense is going to be great. They just signed Jadeveon Clowney. So if he does get some burn, I think that he'll be able to cause a little havoc. And I just think the Cowboys – will find a way. Dak Prescott, whether you like him or not, has played 2 phenomenal football games that I've seen at the quarterback position. He is the reason why the Cowboys are in any of these games. Without Dak Prescott, the Cowboys are worse than the Giants, I feel. But Dak Prescott is playing at that level. I think it's going to continue this Sunday. And I think the Cowboys are going to want to put up a statement and say, hey, listen, last week was a fluke. Teams like this, we want to be able to beat. And I think they're going to ride that momentum on that huge win. Remember, we talked about a huge loss on one end. Well, I think they're going to ride the momentum to a huge win on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't right now. I just based off of what I've seen from Chicago Bears, I just don't see it. I don't even at home. I don't see them beating the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are just going to have too much firepower offensively. Clearly, the Bears defense ain't that good. I mean, I know Detroit is a great offense. Don't get it. I know they have a phenomenal offense in Detroit, but 50 points, you can't be going around giving up 50 points. I'm sorry. That doesn't matter how good another team's offense is that you're playing against. At this level in the NFL, giving up 50 points, you're not a good defense. I'm sorry. It's just not it. And I just think this Bears team, man, is disappointing me because I thought they were going to be one of those surprise teams this year. I believe that a couple weeks ago on the Premium Takes podcast. I had the Bears as a wild card team. Yes, I did. I do not believe that statement now. I believe that was a very errant pick. And I think the Bears are going to drop to 0-3 here, man. And I put a lot of it on, like you said. I think Caleb Williams just ain't the guy, man. I think they are really, really wishing that they would have drafted one Mr. Jaden Daniels instead of Caleb Williams a year ago. Now, I think it's still early in his career, and I'm not saying he's a bust or anything like that, but he's not playing up to the standards of a number 1 overall pick. And the fact that light bulb still hasn't appeared to come on, I'm just not sure. I'm just not so sure how I feel about it. And I know that I just feel like Dallas Cowboys have shown an ability to run the football better than we expected. But Javonte Williams is off to an excellent start to this season. And CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Jake Ferguson, Dak Prescott, like you just said, is playing right now at a level of where he's definitely right now through 2 weeks, top 3 in the league easily at quarterback at the position right now through the first couple of weeks of this season.
I really have the MVP for me right now.
I don't know. I might go Justin Herbert there. Justin Herbert's cooking, man.
That was my MVP choice.
Justin Herbert's cooking, but at the end of the day,
he could be in like that race. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I got you. I feel what you're saying, but I just think that Dallas is gonna have a little too much for Chicago. I don't see them. Although here then again, makes me think because Dallas is that team too. They're that team. They come off this big emotional win against the Giants last Sunday. on Sunday, and then they'll go out there. They have those they do that a couple of times every year, and they'll go out there and lay an egg.
But it is a different team. McCarthy was that kind of coach, though.
That's true. That is also true as well. So I'm sticking with my pick, Dallas Cowboys. I just don't think I'm just not feeling what Chicago's putting out there right now at all. No way, shape, or form. I haven't seen anything that I like about this football team through 2 weeks. Honestly, I mean JJ McCarthy, who was not looking exactly great as a starting quarterback, who was now injured again, by the way, engineered a comeback against his football team in week 1, and then they just got the doors blown off against Detroit on Sunday. I'm just not seeing it, man. I feel like I just feel like you don't really recover from losses like that. Trust me, as a Giants fan, we know. So those losses are hard to recover from, man. And I just think it's nothing but downhill for the Bears at this point. Yeah, I mean, it's looking like that's possible. Bookends, two quarterbacks in 5 years. It's looking possible, man. They might have possibly gotten it wrong on their last 2 big first round quarterback selections. They might have just gotten it wrong, flat out. Unfortunately for them, sucks to be them now. Their problems. We got too many of our own problems over here in Giant Land, so I ain't really worrying about the Chicago Bear problems. Give him some time in the new offense. Cam looked solid in that first half of the season opener. Yeah, but there's 2 halves to every game. And for the last 6 quarters, he ain't looked so solid. He ain't looked solid at all for the past 6 quarters of this season. So, look, I know he's still young, and that's what I said. I'm not outright calling this guy a bust, because it's still too early to say that, to make that declaration. I'm just saying, the number 1 overall pick, the guy that picked right behind you is just absolutely, I mean, he's off to a slower start this year, but at the same time, he's still playing good football overall. I'm sorry. That's just how the cheek has to come down, man. You're the number 1 overall pick. You were a guy that throughout that whole draft process, you just kind of went about it because you just knew you were going to be number 1, and you didn't do anything, so you didn't put some of the extra work in, some of the workouts, some of the combine. You didn't do anything at the combine and all that kind of stuff like that. When you put that kind of on yourself, man, it just is what it is. And now you're number 1 overall pick, and you're not playing up to it. I mean, the number 2 overall pick is playing better than you. The number 3 overall pick is playing better than you. The number what pick was Michael Penix, number 7 or something like that? He's playing better than you. Bo Nix was number 12 or something like that in that same draft or whatever he was. He's playing better than you. I mean, it just is what it is. It just is what it is. I'm not like I said, Caleb. He might turn it around and become better, but right now, it's just not. He's just not it. He said Daniel Jones might be an MVP race. Look, through 2 weeks, maybe technically he would be, but we know how that story's going to end. Let's face it. I'm not buying into it. Okay, we know what Daniel Jones is. Okay, he might be better. He might be better than he was here for circumstances. You know what I mean? Because it's been in a better situation, but he's still who he is. So that it's gonna cool down. It's gonna cool off, guys. Just wait for it. Okay, it's gonna cool off. Just trust me. The bookend said he wasn't big on Caleb coming out. He turns his back to the field playing backyard football. He has to change his style, just like you said, Adam.
Yep.
He's an athlete with an arm. Yeah, pretty much. I said I had put Penix above him. Bears might have got the coaching wrong. I don't know. We'll see, though. I mean, because Ben Johnson could also prove to be one of those guys that's a good offensive coordinator and just not a good head coach. I mean, that's still time. Got to wait a little bit on that to find that out. Some guys are like that. Why not dumb it down for him? I mean, they had a whole offseason, man. They had a whole offseason. How much more dumbing it down do you need? It's the NFL, no dumbing down. Indiana Jones is on a real tear right now. I mean, look, okay. And I promise you, because he's no longer in the NFC East. He's no longer on the New York Giants. We shouldn't be talking about this guy still. But, okay. He's put together 2 impressive victories. He's probably on his way to a 3rd one this week. And I will say he's looked pretty damn good. Looked like Steichen might have made the right choice in him picking him as the winner of that quarterback battle this summer. Okay, that's it. Good job, Indiana Jones, because that's his new nickname. The day he dies in New York, now he's Indiana Jones. Okay, that's this guy's nickname. How does a guy like Daniel Jones keep getting all these nicknames? I don't understand. He's not even good, and he gets all okay. Maybe I'll say he's looking better right now. I'm still not willing to just be like he's good. Okay, I'm not giving him that yet. Okay, that's not true. So the best coaches dumb it down. I know where you're coming from a little bit with that, no Mets, but at the same time, it was one thing if he was still his first year, but he had a full season as a starter a year ago. And granted, it's under a different coach and under coaching staff, different, all that good stuff, different offense. But at the end of the day, man, number one overall pick, you got to get out there and you got to play like a number one overall pick. Exactly what the Giants are attempting to do with Dart. Different circumstances, though. Once again, it's a different circumstance.
DJ, I'm not really worried about DJ, man. Like, who cares?
DJ is Adam's favorite.
Oh, Lud. Oh, Lud.
He's playing good. DJ just can't make a bad line look good. Maybe that's the way to put it. Maybe that is the way to put it. Because when, he had all the times when he would have competent offensive line play with us is when he tended to play better, obviously. So,
well, I'll say it's the Kevin O'Connell effect because the Minnesota, Sam Darnold came in from 49ers, kind of clean up his mechanics, goes to Kevin O'Connell and has a breakout season, gets paid by, Seattle. Daniel Jones, 1 year or a few weeks or a few months towards the end of the year for the Vikings last year. It is now translating over with another guy in Shane Steichen, who also knows quarterback. So maybe getting away from the spotlight of New York. Some guys can't handle that shit. Maybe that helps them out.
We'll see. Like I said, we will see. I mean, look, for what it's worth, I don't hate Daniel Jones. I mean, the guy had some tough breaks here, but I'm glad he's gone. Okay, no matter what, I'm still glad he's gone. So I don't regret a damn thing. And the fact that we had a quarterback throw for 450 yards on Sunday, we should really not even be thinking about that dude.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
What's going on, David, man? Thanks for popping in. I appreciate you, man. We got one more game to talk about, Adam.
Oh boy.
You know what game that is? Sunday Night Football, where the Giants always play their best in prime time. I'm fucking joking, people. I am definitely joking with that one. So what you got, man, Adam? How you see this one going, man?
It's tough for me to see them beating the Chiefs. I want to believe because people are trying to tell me and convince me that they're like no Mets has the Giants winning this. I had the Giants going 1-3 in the first 4 games. This could be. I don't think they have a chance next week. I just don't. That's 100%. What's up, Alex? 100%. I don't think they win this week. This week it depends on what Chiefs offense shows up. Apparently, the Chiefs had 2 guys out of practice today. So they had Xavier Worthy back and their receiver back, and everybody else practiced in full. Meanwhile, the Giants have 13 players on the injury report, which is a little alarming to me, and is the mark of a losing team when guys tend to have injuries, right? Not saying it's going to affect Wan'Dale Robinson or Darius Slayton. They all have like soft tissue injuries, groin, foot, all this type of stuff. But when you play a physical team like Kansas City, you want to be fully healthy, right? And what scares me about this team is that people are looking at 37 points and are telling me, well, we're going to do that against Kansas City. And I'm like looking at it like, but then on the other hand, they tell me how bad the Cowboy defense is. So it has got to be one or the other. It's either the Giants offense is really, really good or the Dallas Cowboys really, really bad. I think it's down the middle. I don't think there'll be as many busted coverages, so I don't think you're going to see as many 40-yard bombs as you saw in this game. Do I think there'll be throws down the field? Obviously, there will be. But I think the Chiefs match up a little better defensively for the Giants, and I think there'll be a bit of they're really going to test the interior of this line. If there's one thing I know about Steve Spagnuolo, I think he's going to outcoach Brian Dable and Mike Kafka, and then it comes down to Shane Bone and Andy Reid. Who will win that matchup? What will Andy Reid do to neutralize the vaunted Giant pass rush? The vaunted Giant pass rush, because they got a lot of pressure on Dak Prescott last week, and what did it do? They still moved down the field, right? Patrick Mahomes, while he hasn't played great football last week, he did enough to win the game, which is not what Mahomes did, but in the grand scheme of things, with all of his talent against the best team one of the best teams in the conference, at least the NFC conference, I think they have a chance to do some things against the Giants. So it's really, I want to believe no Mets, the Giants are going to win, but it's hard for me to get on that bandwagon knowing that the Giants, have a lot going on.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you saying, Adam. What's going on, Jay and Alex, man? I appreciate you guys tapping in, man. But he says he's got a weird feeling. I got a weird feeling the Giants will come in firing, to be honest. And I talk about that. I think after what we saw on Sunday, there is really no going back from that. Now, he might not be able necessarily totally just be launching the ball down the field like that all game. But at the same time, that offense on Sunday, we saw explosion. And I think there's no going back. You can't go back to what we saw week 1 against Washington, for instance, or what we saw all last year. So I think there's no going back. So I think we will come out making more efforts to do so.
I think they'll
be able to execute. Hopefully we'll be able to execute.
Because what I look at it like this, games matter, right? And opponents matter. And when you look at what happened with Kansas City, they played LA, who's 2-0, who has Super Bowl aspirations. They have the Eagles, who have Super Bowl aspirations and a good defense, right? So not trying to make excuses. It's not like they played, the Bears or some shitty team like that, and they were struggling against them. They were hanging toe-to-toe against teams that are gunning for them, the Chargers and the Eagles. And I think they did play with a lot of emotion, and I did see improvement from the Giants as well, but I saw improvement from Kansas City. And the one thing that kills the Giants and has killed them this 2 games are quarterbacks running in inopportune times. Not like running RPOs. What I'm saying is dropping back, Giants are playing man, they see nothing, Mahomes goes out and gets 13 yards on play, right? Happened with the Cowboys. So if those type of things happen, this defense doesn't find a way to get pressure as frequently on Mahomes, it could be a long afternoon, even if they're having you or me out there running the football, catching the football.
I'm not hear you on that. Alex here said he's more concerned about the defense. In his opinion, this could be Kansas City's offense get right game. And that scares me a little bit. But the difference is in this one, but how I feel about the Kansas City offense is it's just not what we're used to. And I mean, Patrick Mahomes is very much still Patrick Mahomes, but those receivers, man, oh my God, they desperately need what's that guy? What's the one? The top receiver. What the one? Not Worthy. I'm not talking about Worthy. I'm talking about the top receiver, the guy that's suspended, the one that's suspended. Huh?
Rasheed Rice.
Yeah, Rasheed Rice. They desperately need him back. Because to me, Worthy is more of a gadget type of guy. I'm not a big, component of him. I think he's a guy that can make plays here and there, but he's not like that guy that I'm losing sleep over. But Rasheed Rice, I would lose sleep over. And they need him back in this offense desperately. Travis Kelce still, obviously, she's solid, but he is not what he once was, obviously. And the running game is just lackluster at best. They just don't have the weapons. And Patrick Mahomes is so damn good that he still kind of maximizes these guys, but they're just not. They're not scary like they once were on offense. And that's not to say that they still can't put together some of those games. So you could be right here, Alex, where they could be that get right game for them, because the Giants' defense has definitely not been what a lot of people thought it would be. But I'm just not so sure. I think if Kansas City does win this game, which I'm picking them to win, I can't pick the Giants right now still, even though they look a lot better on Sunday. I still can't just with a clear conscience pick them against a team like Kansas City. I think it's going to be more of what they do defensively to really stop the Giants, man. But And that's how I see it going down. I think the Kansas City's defense is going to be the difference in this game, where they're going to create some pressures on Russ and put us in some of those uncomfortable positions and maybe force some bad throws and whatnot. It just kind of feels that way. I know it's a home opener, but we saw what we did at home a season ago. What 1-8 or 1-7, however many, whatever we were letting the home last, and we didn't win our only home game. One last year was the last home game we played. The one that we didn't want to win is the one we won. So it's like, I don't know. Prime time too. The Giants are horrible in prime time. But I don't know. Not saying they should or will win. They always win some game they don't deserve 1 or 2 times a year, and that's also true as well. They are good for that. Like when they beat Green Bay a couple years ago on that Monday night game, beat Baltimore a couple of years ago on a random game like that's just like they do tend to do that every once in a while. But I'm just not so sure. The Chiefs coming in 0-3 and they're 0-2 and they're desperate because you got the Chargers right now that are on the cusp of running away with that division, man. It got to get back in it. I mean, Denver sitting at 1-1. And they got the Chargers at 2-0 and looking very, very good. And look what the Chargers got, looking good. So they got to keep up with the Chargers. And I think this is going to be them coming into play. And maybe I think they show up this week. But I think it's still mostly because of their defense. And I think their offense is still just going to sputter a little bit, be a little up and down. They make some plays here and there. Like I said, Patrick Mahomes, as far as I'm concerned, he may not be playing look like the best quarterback through the first couple weeks of this season, but in my opinion, he is still the best quarterback. And I just think that ultimately between all those things, between just his presence alone being there and with how good their defense can be and is, the Giants' inability to run the football very well, I just think that they get it done. And like I was saying, they kind of lackluster at the running back position, but the way Pacheco does run and the way the Giants play run defense, I just don't know, man. I can see a breakout game from him as well. Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, man, just really running the ball down the Giants' throat, to be honest. So I got to go with the Chiefs here. But hopefully the Giants prove me wrong, and hopefully you guys are right, man, that maybe this will be one of those games that they win that they really don't, people wouldn't suspect or have no business. And what would you think if the Chiefs did go 0-3? That would be buck wild even to just fathom that. But I got one more question for you, Adam, real quick. Okay, hypothetically, let's see, because we don't know the status of Andrew Thomas yet officially. But it definitely depends on that. And this question kind of has something to do with that I'm about to ask Adam. In the event that Andrew Thomas does not play once again and is out for his 3rd straight game, would you run James Hudson, the 3rd back out there, left tackle to start? Or are we just cutting it and skipping the bullshit and putting Marcus Bowe out there?
I'm putting Marcus Bowe out there. What I think they'll do is not what I would do is not what I think they'll do. What I think they're going to do is be scared and put James Hudson back in if Andrew Thomas is playing. Because I believe they were going to, because something was mentioned about Brian Dable kind of not really reprimanding Hudson in his play and kind of saying, well, we want to be aggressive and things like that, tells me that he's not really, he probably would start him today if he has to. Now, for me, what question needs to be asked is, yeah, but he can do enough. He's average at this point, right? Like I just think they'll figure it out. Anyways, the 5 best linemen need to play. So if you need to make a move, I think Van Routen is washed. I don't think he's been playing very good. I think JMS is going to have his trouble inside. And I don't think Runyon is going to be here after next year. So your interior is kind of, how should I put this? Your interior kind of blows. So my question will become, if Andrew Thomas is healthy, do I move Membo to right tackle and move Luminor into guard, or change up the guard position, because at some point You're going to have to find the 5 best. And if Membo is one of the 5 best, I don't want to see him over Hudson just because you paid him. And that's the thing that scares me, is they paid Hudson money. And this regime tends to do dumb shit where they don't want to go with necessarily the best player, but they'll go with the highest paid one, even though he sucks at that position.
Appreciate it, Mosey. I appreciate it, Mosey. See, look, for me, it's a no-brainer. Like I said, you go with your best. You got to put your best 5 out there. And now, based on what I just looked at on Sunday, I'm sorry. I'm no offensive line player. I'm sorry. I might not be the smartest man in the world. Marcus Bowe is one of our best offensive linemen. He's one of our best 5 offensive linemen right now, currently on this roster, right now. He needs to be on the field. He needs to play. Like I said, this guy has his technique. His technique is what really gets him over. Because like I said, it's some intangibles that he still lacks. But his technique is what gets him over. I mean, just watching his guy's footwork, it was a master class. Like it was amazing because we watched Evan Neal play so poorly, and that be a big part of it when his pass blocking is how terrible his feet are. And you watch Marcus Bowe, the way he was just running guys around Russell Wilson the entire game. Like I said, he got into the game and you never heard his name. That is a very good thing for an offensive lineman. You never even heard his name. It means he wasn't committing dumbass penalties. He wasn't giving up sacks and pressures. That's a great thing when you're not hearing an offensive lineman's name. Always. And that young man needs to be on the field in some capacity, whether Andrew Thomas is back there or is back or not. In some way, you got to figure out a way to get him on the field and be a part of this O-line because he is one of the 5 best we got. And it's just, to me, I'm going to have my eye on that because if that's not the case, then what are we even doing? You got to put your best guys out there and you got to give your team the best chance to win the football game. And that's playing your best players. So I'm going to have a close eye on that because to me, I don't want to see James Hudson ever again on the field. Personally, the way I feel about it, he should. Like I said, I would have cut him at halftime. I would have showed him the door at halftime. I told him take your uniform off and get the hell out of here and just go because it's just no excuse for there's no excuse for that. There is no excuse for it, man. For those kind of actions, man. I don't know if y'all mentioned it. KC never beat the Giants on the road. Oh, I never realized that. That's interesting. I do remember in the Giants, I think it was Patrick Mahomes' rookie season. He wasn't playing. Alex Smith was the starter quarterback still that year. And they were really good, and the Giants were really bad. And the Giants, I feel like they did beat Kansas City at home.
Yeah, 27.
That season.
I was at that game.
It was one of their like Harrison. 3 wins. Yeah, it was like one of their 3 wins they had that season or something like that. Yeah, so that's a good point, Alex. Thanks for that fun fact, man. I like fun facts. You know I love my fun. I love fun
Streaks
facts.
are going to be broken on Sunday then.
But I'm still going with the Chiefs. I'm sorry. Colt McCoy beating the Seahawks, laugh out loud. Yeah, that was another one of those games that year. We'll see. That's why I'm still not picking them because I don't know that for sure yet. But possibly you might be on to something. That's possible, maybe.
How they didn't beat the Cowboys? What mental hurdle did they?
Well, they still overall performed better. I think that's more what he's talking about. I mean, even though they didn't get the W, they still overall performed better. So I think I know where he's going with that.
But like you said at the beginning of the show, a W is a W and L's an L. So
it is. It absolutely is.
That hump of beating a team in the division, and we don't know the lingering effects of that loss, right? We're talking about the lingering effects of the loss with the Chiefs. What about the lingering effects of the Giants? And here we go again. I just mentioned they have mad players on injured reserve. I'm not injured reserve on the injury list. That doesn't look like a team that gives a shit. That they're slogging through it. Now, if they lose, how many more of those guys go on IR to say, well, you're injured. Let's sit out for a few weeks.
Well, one thing concerning with the injuries for me is because I think some of those guys in the report, they're obviously more or less still going to probably be able to go out there and play. Injury report is what the injury report is. I know, but at the end of the day, I think what bothers me right now is the linebacker situation because after Bobby O'Carrick came behind, like Micah McFadden is down. Now Darius Mursal, I don't know his status for this week, even though what difference does it make if he, like I said, I really can care less about Mursal, but the point is he's been in the system. He knows, he knows the system, and it's just right now he was a starter on Sunday, and now he may not be available this week either. I think they're really thin at the Giants are really thin at linebacker, and that to me is probably the most concerning thing going into this
Every
game.
team in the Giants place is beatable. They could have beaten the Commanders. They were beatable. They could have beaten the Cowboys. They were beatable. At the end of the day, they lost the fucking games. Stop doing this for the Giants and not understanding what's happening. I get it, people. You want to be excited for the game. But don't just keep saying, well, they're beatable. Everybody is beatable in the NFL. It's mediocre. It's mediocre. And the last two teams I heard this whole offseason were beatable. And these two games were the toughest games. Now that we're seeing a team like the Kansas City Chiefs struggling against two of the better teams in the league, and they lost two, not like two of the worst teams in the league. Now we're going to say, well, they're beatable, and it's everything. I'm not saying they're the world-beating Kansas City Chiefs, but put some respect on their name because this lack of respect that they're getting, they're going to come for it on Sunday. You best believe that.
You're right. They're not the same Chiefs, but at the same time, I don't know. Like I said, technically, they're still a better football team. You can't deny that. And they're a better coached football team for sure. And I think that's going to be a big factor in this, too, that we're not, it's just going to be a big X factor is the coaching as well. I just don't see Brian Daboll out and Joe and Mike Kafka and Shane Bowen out coaching Andy Reid and company. I just don't see it. I nothing I've seen through 2 weeks indicates that to me. So who would you rather have coming off the bench? Probably can't get anything from Hudson off the bench. Can't get anything from Hudson, period, because he sucks. I don't even know why we brought him here in the first damn place. He's a head case and he's an idiot. And he's just a straight up idiot.
So, well, Hudson. Well, the thing that not scares me about Hudson, but would make me mad is the fighting on the sideline. Like as a team that's losing, I don't need to see that bullshit. That's like unraveling. You're mentally unraveling in the game, which is a coaching thing because if you made him amped up for the game, and listen, they probably got amped up from last week because the Eagle game, right? We want to, be physical. Guess what? The team that you're playing right now, they're going to be just as physical on defense. They're going to be, they're hungry. They're not this Kansas City team is not the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. They're not going to be just easy team that's going to be rattled on defense that you're going to be able to push around. This might be the toughest test defensively that this offensive line has faced so far. And if they can't establish a run game against this Chiefs front, it's going to be a long day at the office offensively for them. Offensively for the Chiefs, I'm not as worried about it because the Giants' defense is not this great defense. So I think they'll find their spots and they'll move the football. I don't know if they're going to have touchdowns or be a track meet like they normally will be, but I think they'll score some points, the Chiefs. What I'm worried about and that scares me is the offensive line against a good defense. They rose to the occasion against the Cowboys, but a lot of the Cowboys' breakdowns were in coverage, and I don't necessarily know if that's because they're learning the offense, learning the defense, or if that's just the Giants are that good because the Giants went from not being able to do shit against the Commanders, who are far less talented than the Cowboys, and then ended up scoring 37 points, and now we have a team that's been to the Super Bowl coming in our house.
No Mets, no Nets, no Jets. Says there's no way we would have a happy Illuminor if he's not playing right tackle. I absolutely agree. I think when we get to shuffling that O-line, you got to understand how to shuffle it the right way. Illuminor, as he does have that experience inside at guard, but so does Bo. And Illuminor, like I said, very specifically came out and said during the interview that this is why he feels so good about this year coming into this season for himself, because he's only had to worry about one position and playing. And for what it's worth, he hasn't played terribly. He hasn't been terrible at that. So it really wouldn't be a reason necessarily to necessarily move him out of that spot. like I said, the interior of that O-line, they need some work. And that gives me to this next comment right here from Alex. Not, like that, it was like I've been saying it. Joe Shane's it's like his biggest failure is how did you not bring competition in for JMS? Any real competition? You basically just handed him that job again, and like as if he's earned the right to be handed that job. That's a joke to me. To me, he's on my radar right now because he has played terrible through 2 games. He has not been good. Most of the pressure Russell Wilson deals with is right up the gut, right interior pressure, man. That's your guards and your center, man, not getting it done. And I don't understand it. I don't understand how no competition was brought in for him at all, man. It needs to be brought. He needs to be put on notice, point blank and period. It says he should not play. He should not play, but we don't have any depth at left tackle. Well, you're right. We don't, unfortunately, right now.
We're at an hour and 15 minutes. Oh, my God.
All right, yeah, we're going to wrap this up for sure but we do appreciate you guys, man, coming out once again. Another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. And we'll be back. Well, we'll be back next Wednesday for another show. As always, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And make sure y'all go to my channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the like for the stream, hit the thumbs up, help support the channel. Go to Adam's channel, hit the thumbs up, and subscribe to his channel. Help keep supporting the channel. Go to the Hardcore Sports Network and hit the like and subscribe as well over at the Hardcore Sports Network, man. Definitely appreciate all you guys coming out there. Alex, no Mets, no Nets, no Jets. Jay Ferries, Ludwig, bookend tackles, man. Mosley. I appreciate y'all. Y'all got some score predictions in here. I'll go through these last few comments real quick. Said it's hilarious to give a guy with the 52 PFF 12 million and not understand how it could be a disaster. That goes without saying, bro. Not every loss and win is the same. No, it's not. It's not. Definitely not. But a loss is still a loss. Still a loss. It's still a loss in the column, man, no matter what. We're going to get a Giants participation trophy for doing better. They still lost. Exactly. That's the point. They still lost. Remember when we lost to the Pats, then beat them in the Super Bowl? There are good losses. I mean, that loss gave us the confidence going into the Super Bowl. That's for damn sure. We'll say that. But we still lost that game. Exactly. Still was the L in the standings. There's some called pyrite. I don't know what that means. It's 2 games. It is, but it's the first 2 games, and they're both divisional games, and there's two divisional losses. And that's not a good way to start, especially when you still got we haven't even played the best team in the division yet. What else are we supposed to say? To turn the ship around, you need some early momentum. Can't be digging out of a hole when we are below average. You're right, absolutely right about that. We're fans, not content creators who have to be unbiased. Okay, fair enough. But I'm a fan and a content creator, and I just like to share my very unbiased opinions, man. Oh yeah, I'm not saying we'll win, but I wouldn't be shocked either. Not based off of what we've seen from the Chiefs. I wouldn't be completely shocked, but it would be. I would still consider it a very impressive victory. Mosley got the Giants
next week.
Mosley got the Giants 30-24. Okay, we'll see how that play out, man. Hot take Mosley. Well, we are winning right around and after the Hudson debacle. Said even if Thomas plays, I doubt he can play much of the game. We'll see. Like I said, if he's out there on the field, he's got to be able to go. If he's not 100%, I don't want him on the field. Point blank and period. Anything less than 100%, I don't want him on the field. Could be my delusion, but fingers crossed. Best defensive coordinator. Yeah, how I feel about that guy. Nah, I agree. It's a sneaky, weird game that I think we could shock the nation in.
I think it was talking
it's
about
possible. Yeah, anything is possible, man. It's not like playing the Eagles, who we have no shot at. We'll find that out in a few weeks too, unfortunately. But yeah, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see y'all next week, man. It's our boy Mac the Giants fan. It's my guy, super dope co-host Adam Costas. Peace. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants fan. That's MacDa Giants fan.